Anne of Green Gables by Lucy Maud Montgomery, read by Rachel Hartwright. Chapter 6. Some weeks later, Diana had a party. She invited Anne and the other girls in her class. They had a very good time. After tea, the girls played outside. Let's do exciting things. Who can climb the big tree by Diana's front door? One of the girls climbed the tree. Then another thought of something more exciting. Who can climb up to the top of Diana's house? She said. I can, cried Anne. She ran to the house. Stop, Anne, called Diana. That's very dangerous. Anne started to climb to the top of the house, but it was very difficult. Suddenly, she fell to the ground. Diana ran to her. Oh, Anne, are you dead? She said. Anne opened her eyes. Her face was very white. No, I'm not dead, Diana, she said, but my leg really hurts. I can't walk. Mr. Barry carried Anne home to Green Gables. When Marilla saw Mr. Barry with Anne in his arms, she felt very afraid. Was Anne dead? I love Anne very much, she thought. I know that now. She ran to Mr. Barry. What happened? She asked. Don't be afraid, Marilla, said Anne. I fell off Diana's house, that's all. Anne couldn't go back to school. She stayed home for 7 weeks. Her friends came to see her every day with her broken leg. They brought her flowers and books. She had many other visitors too. Mrs. Allen and Mrs. Lynde also came often. When Anne's leg was better, she went back to school. She liked Miss Stacy, the new school teacher, very much. Miss Stacy was a very good young teacher, and Anne worked hard in her lessons. I love Miss Stacy, Anne said to Marilla and Matthew one evening. She wants us to give a concert at Christmas. Isn't that exciting? Diana's going to sing a song, and I'm going to say 2 poems. One evening, Matthew went into the kitchen at Green Gables. Anne's friends were there. They laughed and talked about the concert. They were very excited. Matthew watched them. Anne looks different from the other girls. But why, he thought. He thought all evening. Then he suddenly knew the answer. Anne's clothes are different, he thought. The other girls wear pretty dresses. Marilla makes good dresses for Anne, but they aren't pretty. Then Matthew had an idea. I'm going to give Anne a new dress for Christmas, he thought. He went to the store in the town and tried to buy a dress, but he couldn't because he didn't know much about girls' dresses. Maybe somebody can make a pretty dress for Anne, he thought. But who? I don't know any women in Avonlea, and I can't ask Marilla. I know. I'll ask Mrs. Lynde. He went to see Mrs. Lynde. Of course I'll help you, Matthew, said Mrs. Lynde, and I won't tell Marilla. It will be a wonderful surprise for Anne. On Christmas morning, Anne woke up early. She looked out of the window and felt very happy. The trees were white with snow. She ran downstairs into the kitchen, and Matthew gave her her present, the new dress. Anne started to cry. What's wrong? Said Matthew. Don't you like it? Oh, yes, Matthew, answered Anne. I love the dress. It's beautiful. Thank you. I'm crying because I'm happy. That night, Anne wore her new dress to the concert. She said her 2 poems very well. Matthew and Marilia were at the concert too. Later, they sat by the kitchen fire and talked. Anne did very well tonight, said Matthew. Yes, said Marilia. She's very smart. She looked very nice in her new dress. She's 13 now, said Matthew. One day she will leave the Avonlea school. We have to start to think about her future. One spring afternoon, Marilia walked home. The country was very beautiful and Marilia felt happy. Anne's at school and now she's going to be going home, she thought. She'll make a good fire and she'll have tea on the table. But Anne wasn't going home to Green Gables. There was no fire and the tea wasn't ready. Where's Anne? Thought Marilia angrily. Is she playing with Diana again? She has to help me at home. Matthew came in from the farm and he and Marilia had tea. But Anne didn't come home. When it was dark, Marilia went upstairs to Anne's room. Anne was in her bed. What's wrong, Anne? Said Marilia in surprise. Are you sick? Why didn't you come downstairs? No, Marilia, said Anne unhappily. Look at my hair. Marilia looked under the towel at Anne's hair. It was green. Anne Shirley, what did you do? I dyed it, said Anne. I hated my red hair. Today a man came to Green Gables and he wanted to sell us things. I saw a bottle of black hair dye in his box. So I used it. And I thought my hair would go black, but it hasn't. It's gone green. Go and wash it, said Marilia. Anne washed her hair, but the green colour didn't go away. Oh, Marilia, she said, what shall I do? The other girls will laugh at me. I can't go to school. Anne stayed home for a week. She washed her hair every day, but the green colour stayed in. We will have to cut it, Marilia said, and she cut Anne's hair, her beautiful hair, short. I will never hate my red hair again, said Anne. She went back to school, and when her friends saw her short hair, they were very surprised. But Anne didn't tell them about the hair dye. After some weeks, Anne's hair looked prettier than before, and it wasn't as red, but she had definitely learnt her lesson. End of chapter 6.